More from Mark Willis on Road Dog Trucking News.
Hey, drivers. I want to welcome you back. Nice to have you on board, part of the conversation. And let's get into the next go-round, if you will. Great to have on board Kate Lincoln, the owner and CEO of Lincoln-Goldfinch. And we're going to talk about this immigration raid that occurred at a factory that was put up by Hyundai. And we're going to talk about that. Kate, I want to welcome you to the program. It's nice to have you back. Welcome.
Hi, thanks. It's my first time with you, so I'm excited.
Oh, very, very good. I appreciate it. Thanks very much for joining me on the program. And tell folks a little bit about you and your firm, and we'll go from there. Welcome.
Thanks. I'm based in Central Texas, and I am an immigration attorney. I have been doing this for a couple of decades, several presidential administrations. My focus is working with immigrant families. So I've been on the front lines, viewing a lot of these policies and raids from the perspective of the immigrants. So that's what I plan to bring today.
Okay, very good. I appreciate you joining us, and let's get your website out. Where can I go?
Sure. My last name is Lincoln, like the president, Goldfinch, like the bird. And if you're on Instagram, I'm at KLG for Texas.
Very good. And again, thanks so much for jumping into the conversation here. Let's get into this. This story has been very interesting from multiple different platforms. That there was an immigration raid at the Georgia Hyundai factory, talking about it's testing the state's long-standing relationship with South Korea. And this raid was at an electric vehicle battery facility under construction near Savannah. And a lot of folks are saying, okay, maybe we need to look into this from your vantage point. How do you see this maybe testing the relationship with companies that are being encouraged to maybe locate into the United States to bring in things like electric vehicle production, testing, technology, that kind of a thing? How do you see that overall? What do you think?
Yeah, this one is a curious one because by all reports, this was a celebrated factory. It was bringing in billions of dollars of investment and thousands of jobs. Over 8,000 jobs would have been created by this factory. It seems to have been supported, and yet it's unclear exactly why it was raided. There's a woman who's running for Congress on TikTok who claimed to have been the one who reported the raid, and then DHS said that they were planning it for several months. So I wonder politically really what was going on behind the scenes. But in any event, it turned out to be the largest raid in U.S. history in that 475 people were detained, most of them from South Korea. Over 300 of them were from South Korea, and many of them were on legitimate visas and were detained and reportedly mistreated. And the president of South Korea got involved and ended up chartering a plane to bring a bunch of them back. I'm certain that it hurt diplomatic relations. And so at the end of the day, I think none of us really understands what the benefit for the United States or the people in the local region would have been.
Now, where do you see this going from here as far as like the production aspect of electric vehicles? I mean, there's obviously a big demand for the electric vehicles and, the material that's involved, like copper and the earth minerals and things like that. Hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars are being invested into various infrastructures to maybe bring this forward. Do you think this may cause some of these suppliers, and I know that's a broad term, suppliers, they may be hesitant to get involved in future business discussions to expand these kind of, needs? Obviously, I mean, EV, electric vehicles, are certainly going to be the wave of the future for many of us, right? What do you think it'll do to those relations?
Yeah. I mean, this is a chilling effect. This is, a lot of what the Trump administration does within immigration and other areas is to send messages and to have a chilling effect. Because when something big and splashy like this happens, other people who are watching and thinking about doing the same thing, maybe opening up another factory, investing in other ways, also bringing their people. A lot of these South Korean people were not coming to stay. They were coming to establish, they were engineers, they were training people, and they were going to leave. And that is the way that a lot of this is done. And so other companies who are thinking of investing and growing and building, even if they might have the support of the Trump administration or the local authorities having it hang over their head that when we do everything right, we still might be attacked by immigration agencies in ways that at best cost us a lot of money. This raid put back the development of this factory by, at least several months, at least millions and millions of dollars were lost by Hyundai. And so I do think that other, companies, businesses, investors are going to think twice, even if they have the support of the Trump administration and other regions, because you can have the support and then something like this happens. So I think it really is, it's an unfortunate thing for our economy, for our workers, for our immigrants, when something like this happens, particularly when people who are doing the right thing the right way get attacked nonetheless. It is not good. It's just not, yeah.
How do you see the governor's response about all of this? The governor of Georgia, GOP Governor Brian Kemp, as in himself, said, I don't think any public statements about it, but from some of the spokespeople from the governor's office, they're saying in part that all companies operating within the state must follow the laws of Georgia and our nation. So how do you see that overall? Is this a matter of maybe miscommunication between all sides involved here? Could it be as simple
I
as that, or
think,
could it be much, much deeper in your estimation?
well, I didn't see or read his response, so I'm just going off of what you just said. But that to me is an indication of what I'm saying, which is that I think that this factory had the welcome and the support of, local state authorities. And DHS presumably did not collaborate with them. I mean, in some places we have that, like here in Texas, Governor Greg Abbott does a lot of things in lockstep with the Trump administration. And I don't know the politics of the region, but when I first saw this raid, and I watch all the raids, I watch all the news on this stuff, I was scratching my head like, why? What is behind this? Why would they do this? This just doesn't really benefit the United States or the state or the county where it happened. And I think those questions have yet to be answered. And we're just going to get the talking points from the Trump administration. They're just going to say, people need to do things the right way. But when you dig in and you say, wait a minute, it looks like a lot of these folks were doing things the right way. So then what's the real reason? And that question has not been answered for us yet.
And take that a little bit further, because when you look at this overall, is this going to mean, in your estimation, that based on this kind of a raid, that Hyundai Motor North America is going to have to retool, regroup? In other words, regroup is going to be the right phrase for that. Reading from a quote here, Chris Sussick is now going to manage the mega site, and investigation will be conducted into verifying that suppliers and subcontractors comply with the laws according to the company. And again, just prefacing this for the listening audience, that the majority of those listening that are tuned in are professional over-the-road truck drivers that are very familiar with Hyundai trucks and very familiar with the equipment. Great company, great organization out there. So do you think this is going to be a situation where Hyundai is going to go in and say, okay, we need to look at this or do this, and maybe change procedure? What may come of this, in other words, for the company overall? What do you think?
That's a great question, and I'm not in the know, but what I think is probably going to happen is they're going to review the use of their visas, so that a lot of these people had that's what's called a B1, B2 visa. It's a tourism and business visa, and it is completely permissible under this visa for people to come in and conduct business meetings and conferences and things like that. And I think that probably now Hyundai is not going to want to use that type of visa, which makes quick travel really easy. And then they have to start looking at what are some of the other options. You do it, an L1A, like a specialized worker visa, but those are very costly. They take a long time. There's severe limitations in the employment immigration space. And so I think they might, it's very within the realm of possibility that they look at this and say, well, the ways that we know to establish and set up plants like this are no longer functioning for us. And so without some type of immigration policy change, we're not going to be able to do this anymore. And I think maybe that could ultimately bring positive change, because the truth is the immigration system really is broken. And if major corporations like Hyundai, and truckers organizations and unions get together and say, we want companies to be able to come here and establish plants and have commerce here, and we need immigration to make that possible. That is when we might start seeing some change occur that actually creates immigration policy that reflects the needs of our nation and our economy. Because for so long we haven't had that, because immigration has become this very divisive, very dirty word for a lot of people. But the truth is there's common sense immigration reform that supports and props up the needs of the US economy. And we need Republicans and Democrats to agree on that and actually pass something. So I don't know, maybe Hyundai will start, making some noise, and other big companies that want to come here as well.
Okay, very good. Kate, I got to get ready to wrap up the segment. I appreciate you joining me on the program, and it's an interesting study, to say the very least. And, again, from the standpoint of manufacturing, the movement towards more electric vehicles in the United States, truck, passenger vehicles getting louder, getting bigger by the day, it's there. I mean, the future is now, to say the very least. All right, Kate, thank you. We got to get ready to go to the break.